It's particularly nice to have something to celebrate. And the St. Catherine's Archives is proud to announce that our school newspaper collection from 1927 to 2007 is now available as part of the Library of Virginia's Virginia Chronicle project. This was a multi-year project headed up by Sarah Hergener, our school archivist, in conjunction with Errol Lome, the newspaper project director from the Library of Virginia. It took a lot to go ahead and get everything on there, but with the Library of Virginia's help, our school newspaper is now placed in the context of the newspapers within Virginia, and especially the educational collection, which makes our school history part of Virginia's history where it belonged. This is the Virginia Chronicle webpage. We'd like to show you how to go ahead and access this information. All you have to do is type virginiachronicle.com. The Virginia Chronicle is part of the Institution of Museum and Library Services, which is an organization from the government that takes care of digitizing key collections across the country. The Library of Virginia received a grant to go ahead and do this with Virginia newspapers not currently under copyright by other organizations or databases, and they've done an amazing job. There's a couple different ways to get to it, but probably the easiest way is to show you the Browse by Title feature. If you go ahead and take a look at this, you can actually see all of the different newspapers that have been collated in this one location for the Virginia Chronicle. You actually can sort by topic as well in terms of African American newspapers, alternative, labor, prohibition, suffrage, etc. So that's a way that you can go ahead and further take a look and narrow things down. But lucky for us, the majority of our time, the school has had a newspaper. It's been the Arcadian, so we're in the A's right here. And if you go ahead and click on this, you can go ahead and see a historic picture of the school, which was provided by Sarah Hergener, and as well as a write-up that she has about the history of the school and the school newspapers within it. Please note that our earliest newspapers are hyperlinked too. They're also here. So the early newspapers are the Scrap Basket and then Odds and Ends from 1932 to 42. So these are where you would go for those particular years if you're looking something up. For the Arcadian itself, you can see that it begins in 1940, and this gives you a year-by-year view of the years available for the Arcadian. You can see that the 50s are a dark mystery for us about any kind of newspaper official publications, but any highlighted month is a month that you can click on that had an issue associated with it. Please keep in mind too, the earlier newspapers are somewhat challenging to read for the simple reason that they didn't have professional typesetting available or computers. So as a result, it looks a little bit rougher than what our modern eye is used to in terms of doing it, but the information is fantastic. I think I'm going to pick a later newspaper to go ahead and take a look at. Let's do 1990 and see what we can find. I'm going to choose a specific month. And when you do that, it takes you actually, have to scroll down again, it takes you to a calendar in case there were multiple issues per month, which is usually not the case for a school newspaper. And I can go ahead and click here to get to that actual issue. So a few things about how this is. You'll notice that it's this pointer finger, and keep in mind that it's kind of a drag and drop way of looking at things. You can also, this is a plus, which makes things larger for you. So you could go ahead and take a look and see right here. We can go ahead and position things a little bit better, or you can go ahead and make it smaller if you want to go ahead and see something a little bit easier. So this is the way that you can kind of scroll through here. You can also click on the individual page to scroll through as well. So that's an interesting thing to do. So I'm going to look down here at this student council reports. Now, notice that sometimes when I hover over something, you can see this X appear, which is really useful. So we can go ahead and click on that, and now it's sort of highlighted a specific article over here. So you can see here, and actually, I think it did one from an upper part right here. Yeah, you can see it's actually highlighted this one. What they've done is the technology used is called optical character recognition, or OCR. So as the columns of the newspaper sort of added into the database, it's trying to recognize the text of them and figure out what's actually said, with the idea that it would be transcribed over here. Now notice sometimes it gets a little bit hinky. The computer is not always capable of going ahead and seeing certain things or certain typefaces. So sometimes you'll go ahead and notice that. If you're interested, there's a correct this text option, and notice it has a little lock symbol. You can register for free with the Library of Virginia if you click on this right here and actually be one of their official correctors. So you set up an account, it just sends you an email verification, and you have the ability to then click on this, make sure you're logged in, and you can actually go in and correct text if you notice something wrong. So if you would like to help the Library of Virginia and crowdsource and make sure that the text on the side accurately depicts the text within the actual images, you would be a huge help, and the Library of Virginia would be very grateful for you. Say, for example, I wanted, though, to go ahead and take a look at a specific article and I wanted to save it. That is what this scissors is over here for. It's a way that you can go ahead and clip a specific area. So if I go ahead and do that, you can now see that I've got a sort of a little X right here across. So what I'm going to do is start in the upper corner, and I'm going to go ahead and draw over the specific article that I want and let go of it. And if that looks right, I'm going to go ahead and click the check mark. If I didn't like it, I could click the X. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky, so you might need a couple of attempts to get the thing that you wanted. But I can go ahead and hit the OK button, and it brings it over to here. Now this allows me to either print it if I want, but probably the easiest thing to do would be to go ahead and click on the image and do Save Image As, and that way I could download it to my desktop as a JPEG image, which is an image usually used for photographs. And that way if I went to print it, it really would be true to the image of going ahead and doing that. So this is the Library of Virginia, and the fact that you can now go ahead and get to the Arcadian anytime you want and take a closer look at our school's history. The older newspapers are fantastic. I think the 1980s and 90s were particularly spicy and fun to go ahead and read about what was in the newspaper. So please go ahead and enjoy your time with our school's history and our school's publications. If you have any questions, or if there's anything you would like to add to your time at St. Catherine's to the school archives, please contact our archivist, Sarah Hergener, or me, Courtney Lewis, the Director of Library Services and Innovative Research. And thank you.